Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine, and my name is David.
Trevor. Chris.
And today we are reviewing the board game of Besiege by Cool Mini or Not, they are renowned for doing some pretty pristine and awesome components. I don't know if you can see the spread that we have all over the table here, but it does visually bring you in when you see one of their games. And most of the time, in my experience, because I've played a lot of Cool Mini or Not games, Zombicide, Rum and Bones, which is one of my favorite pirate games, and I have a review of that if you want to watch it. But these guys are getting bored as I'm going over all the specs. Just because this game is a brilliant display of miniatures and cardboard might not mean that it is a good game. So, I mean, without further ado, you guys just want to get right into it and show them how to play?
Right in the nitty-gritty, let's go.
And after that, before that, we're going to show you what comes in this box, because, I mean, look at it, and then we'll show you how to play. So let's do that and give you our thoughts after that. Let's go. Alright, so these are the components that come in the game of Besiege. Now, traditionally, I would like to put the camera on a stand, but this game is really big. It looks more complicated than it really is, but Cool Mini or Not always produces high quality games and also does a great job packaging, which is why I have the box and the little plastic inserts that all the minis are going to go in. I always like to show that because I think that is a crucial part in paying for a high quality game is packaging. You want to get it pristine, and they do a good job at that. So let's first go over what you want to see the minis. Alright, so we have the bad guys. There are big, giant, golem type creatures, really nicely done. Then you have the support units. There are two different ones. The elite ones that have a rider on them and just little kind of frog looking things. Really chunky components. They have weight to them, which I just love that. Then you have the two types of assault ones. This is a regular one, and the elite has a cool axe. So, I mean, just look at the detail on those. Now let's get to the cool heroes. They have a little color base so you can differentiate them from the other characters. We have like a warlock character, this guy with a crazy square drill, really nice. This is another kind of bulky character, a rogue with fist weapons, it is really neat. This is like the paladin, of course, he looks like a paladin. And lastly, you got your ranger with a bow. So those are all the actual miniatures. We have the avatar too. This in a Kickstarter was a pretty cool miniature, but in the standard game that you're going to be getting, you're going to have that. I have since lost the black base, so that's why I had to improvise. So now let's go over the board. Look at that, just pretty board, right? It's made up into different sections. The catapult you had to assemble, but it just spins like this. And then it has this little card place board, because you're going to be having all these decks of cards aligned here, but nicely arranged. Then you have the actual player boards that are going to coincide with the characters as well. The cardboard components, a lot of different ones. Gold, the health token, the little +1 tokens, the building destruction token, double-sided, the defense on your tower, and the level up tokens, which are double-sided. They go all the way up to 4. Then we have the dice, really cool dice, very chunky, standard ones, but then you have some custom ones as well. The messenger token, really important. You need this guy. Bread also comes into play. And then we're going to have the cards. You have event cards, which are going to happen over the game. The enemy cards, which we already have a few out right now. You can see it right here. The corresponding miniatures over there, you've seen them already. And this track right here is the avatar of the big guys. That's his life points. And then you have sorcery cards, which are different things. They're like traps and power. Sometimes they're bad. And most of the time they're good. Market, you're going to get stuff. Tavern, you're going to get stuff. Armor, you're going to get armor and weapons and stuff. So I'm going to go over all that right now, but I don't want to bog this down too much with the components, but I had to show them off. So now let's show you how to play this game. Alright, so this is the game of Besiege set up for 6 players or a 3-player game. In a 2-player game, you'll take 2 heroes, and in a 4 or plus, you'll take 1 hero. I would say this game is better played with fewer heroes, but we'll get into that a little later. Now, the theme of the game is you are trying to defend this tower, and you're sending out a messenger here, and he needs to get out and get back to the tower and stay safe the whole time in order for you to win. Now, there are a whole bunch of different lose stipulations. Well, there are 3, and I didn't point out this season tracker when I was going over the components, but this is one of the ways you can lose. You're going to be going from 4 different seasons, and every time you pass into this point here, you have to feed your each one of your heroes 2 food. If not, they die. And if you get to the end and the messenger hasn't fulfilled his end goal, then you lose. Or if all your heroes die, you lose. Or if any one of these units right here gets into the tower, you lose. So that's how you can lose. The only way you can win is get that messenger back to the tower, because you're trying to call for the cavalry to come and back you up in the defense. Now, that's how the game is set up. Now let's show you how the breakdown of the game goes. Now, on a turn, you're going to be doing a few things. There's 3 different phases. I'm not going to go over everything because it's a mouthful in this game. There are little nuanced rules that you can read yourself, but I'm going to give you the flavor of the game, so once you get it, you know the basics. So it's going to happen over 3 different phases, and each phase has a few different steps, but they're pretty simple. This game looks more complicated than it really is. So, you're going to do the first setup phase, the event cards here. You're going to do, you're not going to do one the first round, but after that you're going to continue to do them. Now, some of them are good and some of them are bad. This one here is profits of all the heroes. It's, you roll the yellow dice here and you get that much gold. And the dice on some, well, this one here is just a 3-sided dice, really. So is this one here. But the rest of them are, you know, whatever. Some are bad, though. I hate this one. The event food donation. All heroes set their food track to 1. So if you have a lot of food and you waste a lot of turns doing that, well, that's really going to hurt you. So you'll do that, and some of them have a few rounds, some have 1 round, and then you'll do the messenger's turn. So this is where he will move and or you will put him out. And when you first put him out, you put him out anywhere that the heroes decide, but when he comes back in, he's going to be drawing one of these compass cards and going from to the north, east, south, or west. And each one of these are broke down on the board there. And as the messenger moves, he can't move into a space where there is a monster, but a monster can advance here, and if you don't destroy all the monsters here on the monster attack phase, the messenger dies, and you only have 2 messengers. He'll come back, but if he dies a second time, well, then you're SOL and you lose the game. So he'll continue to move. He'll move out like this, and once he moves back in, he will continue to move out. But in addition to spawning all the creatures that you're going to be doing, which I'm going to go over in 1 second, you're going to spawn 2 assault right behind him, and you're going to continue to spawn 2 assaults behind him. The game gets a little harder as he comes to the tower because, well, he's triggered off the horn. And the last thing is the enemy spawn. So the cards are set up here. You're going to spawn for each one of these 4 boards, and you're going to roll this black dice. And there's a letter, A, B, or C, and whatever it says, you have to do. Now, the card's anatomy for the enemies have the 4 seasons here, and that's how many minions you're going to summon when it hits that letter. And if it's elite, you're going to summon 1 elite, which is 1 stronger. He has 1 extra defense and 1 extra life. Then the rest will just be regular support units. And the spring here, I think that's what it is, that's only going to do 4, and let's say that we roll that, it's a B, it's the same thing. You're going to put 1 elite and 3 of the supports out. And you're going to continue to do all this for the rest of the other spaces. And there are big, bulky monsters and the assault ones that you're going to be placing out. And once you've summoned the monsters, you're going to continue with the hero phase. The one thing I want to mention is if you ever roll 3 of the same letter at one time during the summoning phase, you bring forth the avatar. Now, he is pretty dangerous, and he has a life track from 1 to 10 right there, and you're just going to put one of these little tokens on there, and you're going to keep track of it that way. Now, he can also come out if you run out of miniatures. Miniatures have kind of a rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock thing going on. If you can't summon one, they'll say summon this one, but if you run out, well, the avatar is coming out that way too. So, now that we've summoned the monsters, let's go over the hero phase. The heroes each get 3 actions. They can do the wall fighting, which this is where you can take out monsters with these red dice. Now, you only roll one, but sometimes you'll roll multiple. As many dice as you roll red-wise, that's how many targets you're attacking. Now, you have to have the strength. That's where this comes in. The defense says you have to have at least one strength to take that out, and most heroes start with one strength, but some start with more, and you can acquire more strength by leveling up, and you do that with bread, which I'll get into in a second. But you have to have the strength in order to hit them. You don't roll for it, you just accumulate that strength. What you're really rolling for is dexterity or precision. The outskirts, the zone 3, you have to roll a 6 or higher, but you can't roll higher than a 6 on a 6-sided dice. Or the second, you have to roll 5 or higher, and the fourth, you have to, well, the first one, you have to roll 4 or higher. So that's how you basically take out monsters. If you get the right dice and you have the strength, you just simply take them off and put them into the reserve pool. You can also attack monsters by using the catapult here. You have to orient it, and if it's not in the right place, and it only attacks zone 3, and you roll this dice to turn it. If you roll the gears, it jams up and you lose a turn, but if you roll anything else, then you're able to spin it anywhere that you want. And the skulls here, well, that is one action. Then you'll take another action if you have to shoot the catapult, and the skulls show how many creatures that you can take out. The catapult has a set strength of 4, so you can take out anything, basically. So he took out these 2, and there you go. So that's basically the ways that you can attack. The cards also allow you to attack things. I'm not going to go too much into the cards. The sorcery cards are good and bad. They have spells, traps, all that kind of stuff. The market is market. Tavern is, events kind of things, and some goodies. But the other thing that you can do with your heroes is move around in the center board and collect gold, bread, and cards, and you can level up. Simply, the palace right here, if you go here, you roll the yellow dice, you get that much gold. You go to the barn, you roll your yellow dice, you get that much bread. And you can only get so much bread or gold, and it taps out. And you can also hold different cards, but again, I'm not going to go into this too much right now. Each hero does have a special ability, which you'll look up in the back of the book. Some are pretty cool. I think they're all pretty balanced. The other things that you can do card-wise at gathering cards is go to the armory. You simply get an armory card. When you start the round, though, I didn't say this, you put out as many of the sorcery cards, the market cards, the tavern cards, and the armory cards in a separate pile. This is what you're going to be drawing for this season. And every season, it's going to reset and put out that many cards. So we're playing with 6 characters, want to put 6 of each card, and that's our drawing deck for this season. So if we run out of tavern cards, we can't go there and get tavern cards until the next season. So we can do tavern cards that way with the armory cards, and you go to the tavern cards to get tavern cards. You can go to the market to get market cards, sorcery to get sorcery cards. There are other ways to get more, like the wizard was able to draw 2 sorcery cards if you draw from there, but that's a little tweak, again, that I'm not going to really get into. The other few spaces that I want to go over are the Smuggler's Den. Now, this is where you draw from the actual deck. So if you run out of sorcery cards, you can draw from the deck if you're able to do that. When you go to the Smuggler's Den, you roll one of these red dice, and you just do whatever number it happens to be here. So you might get a sorcery card, you might not. The last thing that I want to go into is the Sanctuary. Now here you can just flat out get 1 bread, and you get one of these little tokens. This allows you to add 1 to your dice roll if you want, and you put it right up on the little circles here. You can only carry 3. Or if you're at the Sanctuary, you can pay 2 bread to level up. You take 2 of these level up tokens. You can either keep one of these like this and get 1 strength. Again, you need strength to kill higher monsters. Or you can flip over both of them and see what the power is, and sometimes it's going to be better. Like this one, you're going to take it over 1 strength because it's going to give you 2 strength. You put it in the little slot here, you can only get 1 level 1, 1 level 2, 1 level 3, and so forth and so on. But some of them are going to be different, like Archer's Discipline. You're going to be able to attack Zone 2 better and Zone 3 better with a lower dice. And it does get progressively better as you go up in levels. So that's why you want to spend bread, but you want to keep that bread to eat at the end of each season, because as you go into the 4th round, you go into summer, and you have to feed each one of your players food, 2 bread. If you can't, they die. And you also reset everything when it comes to monsters. You take all these and put new enemies there. You take the market and reset all that. And that's basically the round. You'll do all 3 of the hero phases, which I haven't really finished the phase right now. I know it's a mouthful, but the catch is on your last third phase, you have to stay wherever you are, and no one can go into that space. Multiple people can be on the same wall, but if you take up the sorcery tower on your turn and you're the first player, nobody in the rest of this round is going to be able to go to the sorcery. So it's going to make you think and go places first, and then maybe end on a wall or something. The end phase is where you will trigger cards. Some of these tavern and sorcery cards are going to allow you to place traps, and that's going to push units back or damage them, and they will be used. Sometimes there will be a lasting effect, sometimes there will be one, but that's the kind of things that will happen with the triggering of cards. But then all the units attack and march. That's the order. So if they can attack, then they will march, but if they attack, they won't march. So let's say that they were right here, and your person's right here. They're going to attack you for 1 damage each. You can take the brunt of the force if you can withstand it, but if your character dies, then he's out of the game. You can resurrect a character, but you have to do another spawning phase just to do that, and that's going to make the game a lot harder. So some people think that, well, you might just want to stay dead. But you can be a tank and take all the damage. The characters will still stay in the zone 1 until you're able to take them out or do something else with the cards, but that's basically what they do if they attack. If they march, if they can't attack, they'll just march and go up 1. There is no limit to how many characters can be in one zone for that little tidbit. And after they march and attack, then you do the round over again. Now it seems like a mouthful, but this game really starts to go on a snowball effect, and it's easy to understand, and you start to just play stuff and move these characters, but there are a lot of things going on that you might forget one thing here or one thing there, and you might just do it on a later turn. But that's basically what we're going to be talking about in our sum up of the review. So that is the flavor of Besiege. Again, there's a lot of things I've left out. There are little nuanced things, but they're the basics you already know. Like these little tokens here, you will be able to play cards to defend your rooms, because sometimes they might take damage, and if they take damage on the same room twice, they are completely destroyed. You can also go to a destroyed building and repair it for a hero action. That's one of the things I left out. But if it's black, then you have to wait for a card to actually repair it. And the way that the rooms get damaged are associated with the cards, so it's absolutely random. That's one thing that we left out of the overview that I wanted to say. So when you put these things out, it's just a total guess. So again, that is how you play the basics of Besiege. I hope it was enough. It should be. Once you get this game and you watch this video and you go over the rule book yourself, you're going to have a good understanding of the game. It's very simple. I would say maybe a little bit too convoluted, but let me tell you if we think that it's a good game or not. Let's go. Alright, so that is how you play the Cool Mini or Not edition of Besiege. Now, I want to start by saying a huge thanks to Cool Mini or Not for providing us with this review copy. They've done this, and they've been supporting our channel for a while now, and I mean, this is the best way that at this point a publisher can help us with content and getting reviews done for you, because this makes them come out in a timely fashion. At least for me, it helps because of the money. So, now, let's get into our grade and what we think about this game. Now, I'm going to do a percentage and or a letter grade as I always do, and these two over here are going to stick with fractions and or percentage points, like 9 point or 10 point or 11 point. No, it's not going to go up to 11. But, so...
It might at some point.
Yeah, I mean, if HeroScape came out with HeroScape 2, but we're going off on a tangent here, Chris would give that 11. So, now, Besieged, again, I'm going to give it a 74%, which is a midweight C. And most of that grade is for the components. I mean, impeccable. They're, top shelf components. The miniatures every time just easily detailed, and you can just pick out a whole bunch of little things. And if you were to paint these things, they would just be an immaculate kind of game that you could just bust out and really grab people's attention. And that helps me get into the theme and makes the game more visceral for me. So Cool Mini or Not did that. The reason why the game kind of stalled out at a 74 for me was because, I don't know, I've played a few tower defense games like Castle Panic and Dead Panic and a few other ones that I just can't really think of right now, but I have a fair reservoir to draw from. This one here, it looks complicated. It is not complicated. Super simple, but convoluted. is the word that I would say. There were many a times where we would forgot just to bump up our morale, or we just forgot to move the messenger, or play the event card. There's just a lot of little things going on, which keeps you kind of just keeping track of those little fiddly bits instead of trying to endure the game. The game is super hard. I looked it up, and I've seen other people's interactions with the game, and it's got around a 50% win rate. And I would say that we are on that low end, of course. We have yet to win this game. We played it a few times. And you can make it easier, too, but we've played the easier setting, and it's just, for some...
You don't have to tell them that.
Yeah,
you don't have to tell them
that. We did. But for some reason, it just... There's things that happen with the dice that you just can't mitigate. There are a few cards that allow you to stall a few of the units, but adding +1 with some of those divine little tokens, sometimes this isn't enough to do what you want to do. So you live and breathe by the dice in this game.
Yeah.
And I think if you just had a little more control over some of the randomness in this tower defense, it would have been a easier accomplish rate. And the other thing I will say is with a 2-player game, you play with 4 heroes, and a 3-player game, you play with 6. That is a lot of characters to be on one board. All 6 players. When you play with 4 players, everybody gets 1 hero. And I think that's a good number because you aren't blocking everybody. Though we didn't run into that too much because we were out there on the wall trying to defend this tower, which inevitably always comes crumbling down.
Right.
But that is, I'm not going to go into it too much. The food thing is a bit annoying. And especially when a card comes up and makes you just throw all of it away when you've been working so hard to accomplish this food. But it didn't really hurt me too much. A lot of people that I hear that play this game, they didn't like the food mechanism. But I don't know, that didn't really bother me too much. I think the randomness and just the blight that comes onto you, you become overwhelmed. And in some tower defense games, I feel like you have an inkling of a chance. In this one, once you feel like you're done. You're done. You're out of the game, and you're probably out until the end. And if you make a mistake, you're probably not going to win. So, Chris, you want to take over and give them your grade here? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. So I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not a horrible game. I did like playing it. The artwork and like Dave was saying earlier, the miniatures are amazing.
Even the cards.
Yeah,
too.
like every single, all the artwork everywhere on all this is amazing. I love it.
Mind blowing.
And that's what I always look for. I always look for artwork. I love it. The miniatures, like Dave said, the miniatures are amazing. The details on them, awesome. Now, this game reminds me of 2 different games. It reminds me of the Run, Fight, or Die.
The zombie game,
the zombie.
The 3 sections,
right.
I definitely can see that.
Which it reminds me of that, with
the
each
different
section.
zones.
Right.
3 zones.
And then it also reminds me of the tower game, the Castlevania.
Yeah, definitely.
It also reminds me of that.
So a clash
so
of
there's
that.
There's a mixture of the 2. Which it reminds me of, which isn't bad, because I love both of those games.
Yeah.
Both of those games. I love that aspect of this game. This game also adds more with your character cards and your randomness of the cards.
Yeah.
And like Dave was saying with the dice, it's all random, and it all adds to that. And like you were saying with the food, that didn't really bother me.
Yeah, some people didn't like it too much. But
it just kept something focused. It was
Yeah.
another focus point.
Mhm.
Like not only were you focusing on all the creatures moving, you're also trying to focus on your
person
character.
alive,
I want to keep
Yeah.
him alive, so you want to go to certain areas to, bulk up his food or his
Mhm.
gold or do whatever you want to do. So that really didn't take it away. The only reason I probably would give it a 6 is because the time aspect.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
long.
I feel like we started it pretty early
Yeah.
and we played pretty late.
Yeah.
But that's only because I think it got away from us a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't realize what time it was.
Right.
Once you get into it, you really want to get it, and towards the end of it, we kind of, I think in one game that we played, we realized that we were kind of just screwed and wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason it would take away. It's just the time frame.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the quicker games.
Yeah.
But the details in this game were really, really spot on.
Okay.
I mean, the dice roll, That's
You rolled
in
one
any
a lot.
game. In any game, the dice roll is really
Had some bad luck.
is
there.
really how you roll. Trevor did not have any luck in this one.
Well, one of his
But-
characters.
with one. The other character wasn't bad, but his first character every single time was horrible.
Yeah, last game was
So,
rough.
so that's me. Like I said, I'm at a 6 out of 10. So.
All right. Yeah, what are you going to give it, my man?
I'm maybe gonna surprise you guys with this. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
Okay.
If you want to play a game that's gonna boost your ego, don't play this game. But I think that I kind of respect that they aren't just because it's a co-op game. So obviously, if it was every man for himself, that's only one person's gonna come out of that feeling good about themselves.
Right.
But this is a co-op. So, whereas some co-op games might lend to the side of helping people win a little more than maybe they should, it's just kind of making them feel good about winning a game, whereas this game's saying, hey, you better play it right or you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Which I respect that. Do I like the fact that I haven't won a game? No, not at all. That's frustrating. I will also say, if you only play this game once, play it at least one, if not two more times before you really make your decision about this game, whether or not you're going to buy it if you were borrowing it, or whether you're going to sell it or give it away.
Because you had to have an understanding.
You really need at least 2 solid games, if not 3, into this to have a good appreciation for how you're going to play it. So don't get discouraged. This is a solid game, and it really makes you think and strategize how you're going to use your turns, how you're going to use your hero. Like for instance, I had a guy that didn't have to use gold when he used armory cards, so I realized, man, I'm not gonna go to any of the other resources. I'm just gonna grind the armory because I'm not gonna have to worry about gold with this guy. So it's definitely a daunting task through a lot of the game. You're like, we are getting absolutely just slaughtered.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool. Component wise, I have no complaints whatsoever.
With the exception of this, I mean,
Well,
why is this a miniature?
I mean,
That would have to be a huge miniature, though.
Yeah, in the Kickstarter they have it. Though.
Yeah, I think if you have like an Ultimate Edition or like you said a Kickstarter version where they've got a really cool like larger
This
miniature.
is a miniature too.
Yeah.
The Kickstarter, which is unfortunate, it's not.
But that's I would say I give this game like a 9 and 9 or 9.5 on components, and then just 8 in overall. But I really enjoyed it. I want to play it again. And I want to get that first W.
Yeah.
But I recommend playing it at least 2 times, if not 3, and really chewing through to hopefully discover a game that might even be one of your favorite games and possibly one of your favorite co-op games. So that's my thoughts. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
All right, so let's go into our final thoughts. I think that I would recommend this game, like you said.
Yeah.
I recommend this to gamers, heavy gamers, especially because even though AP analysis paralysis might come into play and make the game longer, those people, it will offer that strategy for you because, again, you have to execute. Even if you have a strategy and you play it 3 or 4 times, you mess up one time or you're not going to recover from that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of an avalanche effect. You really have to keep ahead of it the whole time. One slip up, you're dead. But the challenge of the game, when you win this, it has to be such a glorious aura just flowing over you. We wouldn't know, but eventually we probably
one day.
will.
That's what makes it, because you're the anticipation.
Right. So, but I would recommend this game. Maybe not for the lighter person, but lighter gamer person.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's easy enough for them to latch on to. So I like it. I like it ultimately.
So yeah, I would say I do like the game. Looks are amazing. I mean, like Dave said earlier, it just look-wise, this game draws you into it. If you had it set up like you did when we came in, I want to play it no matter what, just because it looks great. The other thing I will say that I forgot to mention was their rules. They are very detailed in their rules. I know we played other games where we've ran out of miniatures, like Dead of Winter. We haven't done a thing on that yet, but there have been points where you run out of zombies or whatnot. There is a specific rule in this game if you run out of certain miniature. And I liked how they touched on that. So this really is a good game for me. I mean, like I said, 6 was bad, but it wasn't bad. But it was
It's a good game.
It's a good
and that's what I'm sticking with too. Not my favorite Cool Mini or Not game, but something that'll stay in my collection.
That's where I'm at.
All right, Trevor, wrap this up with your final thought, and we'll do our tagline and get out of here.
Obviously, I gave this the highest grade. I really enjoyed this game. I don't recommend this for family game night.
No.
I don't recommend this for the faint of heart when it comes to gaming. But,
yeah, if you want to win, if you like winning.
if you've got a solid gaming group that likes to tackle some, some decent strategy games where you really want to challenge, or if you're just going to a game night at your local game shop and you know there's going to be people there that are really serious about gaming, this is a good game for you. Again, this is not an ego booster because that has not been done for us, but I recommend it on a pretty high level. I really enjoy it and I love the components.
All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and thank you, Cool Man Out again. We could not have done the review without you and you fans. I mean, keep watching. Your support is that. I mean, we couldn't ask for much more. So, until the next time that we see you, I've been Dave.
Trevor.
Chris.
Have a great rest of your day and a great time with all the cool Mini or Not games that you play. You heard it here on the Game Vine. Bye, everybody.
Bing, bang, boom.
There it is.
Just happened.
There it
Just
is.
happened.